It began with silence. In the deep black of space, a fleet moved like shadows, massive alien ships gliding toward a small blue planet. The Zorith Empire, rulers of 15 star systems, had decided to take Earth. To them, it was just another primitive world, full of weak life forms. They had conquered hundreds before. They expected no resistance. Admiral Threx, commander of the invasion, stood inside the main control room of the flagship Vornexus. The holographic image of Earth floated before him. "Another colony world," he said calmly, his voice cold. "Take samples, remove resistance, begin extraction." His officers nodded. None of them expected trouble. But something about the planet bothered Threx. It was quiet. No energy shields, no orbital defense, no advanced fleets. Yet his scanners showed millions of signals, machines, satellites, and strange communication networks everywhere. Humans. Billions of them. But no weapons strong enough to threaten the Empire. Or so they thought. The invasion began on the third rotation of Earth's moon. Thousands of Zorith ships entered orbit. They expected panic. They expected surrender. Instead, Earth stayed silent. Not one global transmission of fear. No calls for help. Only silence. "Strange," Threx muttered. "Why are they not reacting?" Then, their first ship vanished. One moment it was on screen, the next, gone. No explosion, no signal. Just nothing. The radar operator froze. "Admiral." Ship Z-403 disappeared. No trace. Threx's eyes narrowed. "Stealth field malfunction?" "Negative, sir. It's gone." A few minutes later, another ship vanished. Then, another. Within an hour, 6 ships disappeared without warning. Panic spread through the command bridge. No enemy weapons were detected, no projectiles, no energy readings. Threx clenched his fists. Find the source. Now. Deep below, on Earth, in a dark underground base beneath the Pacific Ocean, a group of humans watched glowing monitors. A woman in a gray uniform smiled faintly. Targets neutralized. 6 ships down. Confirmed. Beside her, an old man with silver hair looked at the screen. "So, they finally came," he said quietly. "Activate Phase 2. Let's remind them why Earth was never conquered." Back in orbit, the Zorith fleet tried to regroup. Threx ordered scans across the entire planet. What they found made no sense. Ancient cities filled with energy sources they couldn't identify, heat signatures under the oceans, and strange readings from the poles. Then, the humans responded. A message appeared across every Zorith screen. Just one sentence, written in perfect galactic common. "You shouldn't have come." The bridge fell silent. The lights flickered. And then, something impossible happened. A blue flash erupted from Earth's surface. Not a missile, not a beam, something else. A pulse. It rippled through space like a storm. Alien sensors failed, communication collapsed, and hundreds of ships powered down instantly. "EMP attack," one officer shouted. "No, sir," cried another. "This is something else. It's rewriting our systems." Threx stared out the window. One by one, his ships went dark. In the reflection of the planet's light, he could see the outlines of massive human constructs rising from the oceans. Metallic giants, hundreds of meters tall, glowing with blue energy. "What are those?" he whispered. On Earth, the old man watched as the ocean shimmered with light. "Project Leviathan," he said softly. "Built after the First War. They never learned." The alien fleet fired in panic. Plasma shots lit the skies, but every beam was absorbed before reaching Earth. The human defenses had awakened, machines powered by something far beyond Zorith understanding. Threx's communications officer screamed, "Admiral! The humans are inside our network." There. The screen went black. The flagship shook violently. Threx grabbed onto a console. "Report." Unknown signal inside the ship, sir. It's human code. They're talking to us through our own systems. A cold voice echoed through every corridor of the alien ship. It was human, calm, confident. You came here thinking we were weak. You studied our weapons, not our history. You forgot, Earth doesn't lose wars. Threx's scales tightened in fear. Who are you? He shouted at the empty air. The voice replied, we are the reason your empire will remember this day. Outside, the sky around Earth shimmered with light. Thousands of human defense satellites uncloaked, forming a glowing shield. And from behind the moon, something massive moved, a ship larger than any Zorath craft. Human-made. As the shadow passed across the stars, Threx felt the first emotion no Zorath admiral was ever supposed to feel: fear. Because in that moment, he realized, this planet was not prey. It was a trap. And humanity had been waiting. Admiral Threx stared at the dark space before him. Half of his fleet was gone. Systems were crashing. The planet below looked calm, glowing blue and green like nothing had happened. But Threx knew better. Something ancient was hidden there, something powerful. Restart the engines, he shouted. Get us back to the fleet formation. Sir, we can't, his officer replied nervously. All systems are locked. Our commands are being overridden. By who? Threx demanded. The lights flickered again. The air felt heavy, like something was watching them. Then, on the main holographic display, a symbol appeared, a circle with 3 lines crossing it. None of the aliens recognized it. But on Earth, every human knew what it was. The old emblem of the Earth Defense Initiative. Inside the hidden base beneath the Pacific, the woman in gray reported, the alien flagship is disabled. Phase 2 complete. The old man nodded slowly. Good. Begin communication test. Let them understand what they are facing. A moment later, inside Threx's ship, the holographic projector came to life. A human appeared, an older man in a black uniform, standing confidently with his hands behind his back. I am Director Samuel Hayes, the man said calmly. You are trespassing in Terran space. Threx hissed, this world belongs to no empire. You are primitive. You. Primitive. Hayes interrupted, his tone turning sharp. You think technology makes you superior? You mistake patience for weakness. Threx slammed his claws against the console. You dare threaten the Zorath Empire? We have destroyed worlds stronger than yours. Hayes looked almost amused. And yet, you cannot even control your own ship right now. Threx froze. The human was right. His controls were still locked. The ship's main computer now displayed strange human code, fast, efficient, rewriting Zorath systems like they were toys. How? Threx growled. Hayes smiled faintly. We've been listening to the stars for a long time. Watching. Waiting. You're not the first empire that tried to invade Earth. You won't be the last. But you will be the first to vanish completely. The transmission ended. Threx's crew panicked. Admiral, our secondary systems are melting down. The humans have infected the ship's core. Threx stood silent for a moment. Then he gave a single command. Retreat. The remaining ships turned away from Earth, engines burning. But as they tried to jump into hyperspace, something blocked them. A massive energy field surrounded the planet. The Zorath couldn't escape. Sir, the jump drives are offline. Threx's voice grew cold. Then we fight. He ordered all ships to open fire. Thousands of plasma beams shot toward Earth's atmosphere. The explosions painted the sky. But every shot hit the same invisible wall, a defense barrier stronger than anything they'd ever seen. Inside Earth's orbit, the giant human ship that had emerged from behind the moon moved slowly forward. It was unlike any design in Zorath records. Its hull shimmered like liquid metal, with human letters carved along its side. TSS Olympus. Unknown battleship approaching, an officer shouted. Threx narrowed his eyes. Target it. Destroy it. They fired everything, missiles, plasma, ion cannons, but nothing touched the Olympus. The shots simply vanished before impact, absorbed by a glowing shield. Then, the human ship responded. A single blue beam shot forward, silent and fast. It passed through 3 Zorith cruisers like light through smoke. No explosions, just instant disintegration. The ships turned to dust. Impossible! Threx shouted. What kind of weapon is that? No one answered. Fear spread through the bridge like a virus. Then, another voice echoed through their systems, the same human voice as before. Do you know what's funny, Admiral? You call us savages. But we learned all this from studying you. The screen changed, showing files, Zorith language, Zorith ships, Zorith technology. Somehow, the humans had access to all of it. Hayes' voice continued. Your kind came here 200 years ago. You wiped out millions. We rebuilt. We learned from your weapons. And we promised it would never happen again. The screen flickered, showing old images of destroyed cities, burning skies, and human soldiers fighting alien invaders. Then it showed what came after. Massive human war machines, AI defense grids, orbital forges, and deep-sea reactors. You made us what we are, Hayes said. You created the monsters you fear. Threx's claws trembled. His mind refused to believe it, yet the evidence was clear. The humans were not new to war. They were born from it. Admiral, his science officer whispered. They're activating something large, near the planet's core. Before Threx could ask what, the Earth began to glow faintly. Massive waves of energy pulsed through its magnetic field. Every Zorith ship's system screamed warnings, gravity fluctuations, radiation spikes, and something else, a countdown. What is that? Threx demanded. The officer swallowed. Sir, it's targeting all of us. Then the voice returned, colder than before. Welcome to Earth, Admiral. The planet defends itself. Every alien screen showed the same thing, a vast energy surge rising from Earth's surface, spreading upward like a storm. The light grew brighter, until it covered everything. And then, darkness. When the light faded, space was quiet again. For a few long seconds, Admiral Threx couldn't see anything. The ship systems were down, the control panels dead, and every sound was gone except for the faint hum of emergency power. Then, slowly, the lights came back. The crew looked around, confused and terrified. Report. Threx barked. His officers scrambled to check the consoles. Admiral, half of our fleet is gone, one shouted. No signals, no wreckage, nothing. Threx's cold eyes glared at the screen. Where hundreds of Zorith warships had once filled the orbit, only a handful remained. The rest had simply vanished. Not destroyed, erased. What did they do? He growled. Unknown, sir, the officer whispered. It was not a weapon we understand. It didn't attack us, it rewrote space around us. Like we were never here. Threx gritted his teeth. Then they control physics itself. He refused to believe that humans, primitive, soft-skinned creatures, had achieved something the Zorith Empire couldn't even dream of. But his sensors told the truth. The humans were not fighting for survival. They were controlling the battlefield. Far below, on Earth, deep under the Pacific base, Director Hayes watched the holographic projection of the orbit. 70% of the enemy fleet neutralized, said the woman in gray. Hayes nodded. Good. Don't finish them yet. She looked up, surprised. Sir. Hayes' expression hardened. Let the survivors send a message home. Let their empire know what waits if they ever come again. Back in orbit, Threx's communications suddenly flared to life. A faint signal from one of the missing ships appeared, frozen, half inside subspace. The crew gasped. They could see it through the viewport, a ship twisted, stretched, silent, like time had stopped around it. By the stars, whispered one of the officers. Threx turned away. We're leaving. Prepare the jump drives again. Sir, the hyperspace gate is still blocked. Then find a way to open it. Threx roared. But before anyone could answer, the main screen flickered again. Director Hayes' face appeared. Calm. Cold. Almost disappointed. Admiral Threx, he said. You should not be here. Threx's claws dug into the control panel. You think this is over, human? You have destroyed ships, yes. But the Empire will return with millions more. You cannot stop us all. Hayes nodded slowly. You're right. We can't stop all of you. He leaned forward, his eyes dark. But you won't get the chance to call them. Threx's heart froze. What do you mean? Your communication signal to your Empire, Hayes said. It was intercepted the moment you arrived. The realization hit Threx like a blade. You traced it? Hayes smiled faintly. No, Admiral. We infected it. Behind Threx, one of his officers shouted. Sir, our long-range beacon, something's wrong. It's sending back to us. Then the screens filled with red warnings. The Zorith fleet's communication network was collapsing, looping the same command over and over again. Signal origin, Earth Defense Command. Threx slammed his claws down. Shut it off. But it was too late. The humans had already taken control. Their virus spread faster than light, jumping from ship to ship. Engines shut down, weapons locked, shields failed. Threx screamed in rage. How can you do this? How can a single planet defeat an empire? Hayes' voice was calm, almost sad. Because we had no choice. Every time someone tries to conquer us, we change. We learn. We adapt. You see us as a small world, but you don't understand, Earth isn't united by peace. It's united by survival. He paused, then added softly, and survival makes monsters of us all. On Threx's bridge, alarms blared. The walls shook. Energy readings spiked across the ship. Admiral, the human code is in our reactor core. Threx turned to his last officer. Eject the core. I can't. It's locked. The last thing they heard was Hayes' voice echoing through the bridge. Goodbye, Admiral. The flagship exploded, not in fire, but in silence. The ship dissolved into pure light and vanished, leaving behind only fragments of dust. The few remaining Zorith ships tried to escape, but one by one, they fell dark. Some were pulled into black voids, others simply disintegrated. In less than a minute, the once mighty fleet of the Zorith Empire was gone. In the Pacific base, silence filled the control room. The operation was over. The woman in gray turned to Hayes. Sir, it's done. No hostiles left in orbit. Hayes exhaled slowly. Record everything. Send a warning beacon into deep space. The same message as last time. Yes, sir. The old message. He nodded. Word for word. Minutes later, a signal pulsed from Earth into the stars, a simple, ancient message, written in Galactic Common. Earth is not a colony. Approach at your own risk. As the message vanished into the endless dark, Hayes looked up at the stars. They'll come again one day, the woman said quietly. Hayes nodded. Yes. And when they do, we'll be ready. He turned away from the screen, his reflection flickering in the blue light of Earth below. For a brief moment, his expression softened. This planet isn't perfect, he murmured. But it's home. And no one takes it from us. Outside, the oceans shimmered faintly. Deep beneath the waves, the Leviathan units returned to their resting places, silent once more. The skies cleared, and Earth looked peaceful again, calm, beautiful, and deadly to anyone foolish enough to challenge it. Because the humans didn't just defend their world. They owned it. The stars looked calm again. To anyone passing by, Earth was just a small blue world orbiting a yellow sun. Peaceful. Quiet. But the silence was a lie. In the far edge of the Milky Way, the Zorith Empire burned with rage. News of the fleet's destruction had reached their capital world. When the message came through, fuzzy and corrupted, it carried only 3 words before cutting out completely. You shouldn't have come. Emperor Vraxis stood in his throne chamber, the massive hall echoing with the low hum of alien machinery. His crimson armor shimmered as he glared at the hollow display. One planet destroyed my entire fleet, he hissed. His generals stood silent, afraid to answer. Find out how, Vraxis ordered. And when you do, burn that world to ashes. One of the science officers stepped forward. Your Majesty, the human planet, it is unlike any we have studied. There are signals we cannot decode. Energy signatures from its core, artificial in nature. It is possible they have a planetary weapon. Vraxis laughed coldly. A weapon powerful enough to erase hundreds of ships? Impossible. But deep down, even he felt a spark of unease. He turned to his war council. Assemble the Second Armada. 2,000 ships. If they want war, we'll give them one. The chamber echoed with approval, but far away, light years across the galaxy, Earth already knew. Inside the Pacific Command Base, Director Hayes stood before a massive screen displaying the movement of Zorith fleets. They're regrouping, the woman in gray reported. This time it's not a small force. They're sending everything. Hayes nodded calmly. Good. That means they're scared. She looked uneasy. Sir, if this armada reaches us, the defenses might not hold. Leviathan was designed for planetary defense, not full-scale galactic war. Hayes walked closer to the screen. Then it's time to use something else. He tapped a code into the console. The screen changed, showing an ancient vault beneath the lunar surface, sealed for nearly a century. The code name flashed, Project Helios. The woman frowned. Sir, that project was shut down. It's unstable. I know, Hayes said quietly. But it's the only thing powerful enough to stop them before they reach us. He turned to her. Prepare the Helios protocols. Activate the old crews. We go dark until they arrive. 4 days, the skies over Earth stayed silent. No broadcasts, no signals, nothing leaving the planet. To the rest of the galaxy, it looked empty. But underground and undersea, millions of humans were preparing for war. In orbit, the TSS Olympus floated quietly, its massive engines glowing faintly. Inside, Captain Reyna Solis, commander of the ship, stood watching Earth's horizon. They'll be here soon, she said softly. Her first officer nodded. How many ships, ma'am? Too many, she replied. But that's what makes it fun. She smiled faintly, the kind of smile soldiers have before impossible battles. Then, the darkness of space shimmered. The Zorith fleet arrived. Thousands of ships tore through hyperspace, filling the void with light and thunder. They surrounded Earth like a metal storm. For a moment, it looked like night itself had turned into an army. Contact, said the communication officer. Reyna straightened. Activate all defense platforms. Link with ground control. The human network came alive. Dozens of hidden stations uncloaked around Earth's orbit, connecting with satellites and deep space rail cannons. Massive platforms lit up one by one, forming a bright ring around the planet. The lead Zorith ship transmitted a signal. This is Commander Vale of the Zorith Armada. You have violated galactic law and destroyed Imperial property. Surrender now, or be annihilated. Reyna smiled. Typical alien arrogance. She pressed a button. Send my reply. A single message was transmitted back, simple and clear. Earth doesn't surrender. The battle began. Thousands of alien ships opened fire at once. Plasma storms filled the sky, covering Earth in light. The human defenses responded instantly. Rail cannons fired kinetic rounds the size of buildings, tearing through enemy cruisers like paper. Explosions lit up the void. Inside the Zorith flagship, Commander Vale shouted. Push forward. Overload the shields. Break through. But for every human platform destroyed, 2 more appeared. Then, something new entered the fight. From the moon's shadow, the vault of Project Helios opened. A massive structure emerged, half machine, half star, glowing brighter than the sun itself. The aliens hesitated. What is that? Hayes' voice came through every human channel. This is Helios, the weapon that ended the First War. Let's hope it still works. The Helios core charged, gathering unimaginable power. The light was so bright that even the Zorith ship sensors went blind. Vale shouted, "Fire everything at that weapon." But it was too late. Helios unleashed a single pulse, a wave of golden light that spread across space like dawn breaking through darkness. Every Zorith ship it touched began to melt, their systems overloading, their power cores collapsing. The pulse didn't destroy, it erased. Within minutes, the great armada of the Zorith Empire was gone. Only scattered wreckage and glowing dust remained. The battle was over. On the Olympus, the crew cheered, but Reyna stayed quiet, watching the fading light. "It's beautiful," she whispered. In the Pacific base, Hayes watched the readings. "Helios output stable," the woman reported. Hayes nodded slowly. "Shut it down before it burns through the planet's magnetic field." As the weapon went dark, the Earth returned to peace. The stars shone quietly again, as if nothing had happened. But far beyond, on the Zorith homeworld, Emperor Vraxis stared at the empty feed. His empire's pride was gone, his armies erased by a single world. He whispered in disbelief. "What are they?" No one answered. The humans had shown the galaxy once again that Earth was not prey. It was a warning. And this time, the universe was listening. The war was over. The stars were quiet again. Earth floated peacefully, as if the battle had never happened. But under the calm surface, the planet was holding its breath. In the Pacific Command Base, alarms still flickered faintly across the control panels. Director Hayes stood in front of the main screen, staring at the data coming in from orbit. "Status of Helios?" he asked. The woman in gray looked nervous. "Power core is cooling, sir. But there's a problem." Hayes turned to her. "Define problem." "Helios didn't shut down completely. There's residual energy leaking into the atmosphere. It's rewriting magnetic fields. We think it's forming something around the planet." Hayes frowned. "Like what?" She swallowed hard. "A shield. A permanent one." For a moment, Hayes said nothing. Then he exhaled slowly. "So the planet's defending itself again." He looked up at the massive digital map of Earth. Bright lines of energy were spreading across the poles, connecting the oceans, wrapping around the planet like glowing veins. The weapon had changed something. Earth was evolving. Meanwhile, in orbit, the TSS Olympus drifted in silence. The ship's hull was scorched, its shields drained, but it still stood guard. Captain Reyna Solis sat in her command chair, staring out at the fading light of the Helios blast. Her first officer approached quietly. "We won, ma'am. The Zorith are gone." Reyna nodded. "For now." He hesitated. "You think they'll come back?" "They always do," she said. "But next time, we might not have Helios." She looked down at her wrist display, showing the Earth glowing with strange patterns. "Or maybe," she whispered, "we won't need it." Far away, on the Zorith homeworld, chaos had erupted. Entire cities burned as the news spread, 2 full armadas gone, wiped from existence. Panic filled the Empire. Priests called it divine punishment, scientists called it impossible. But Emperor Vraxis called it one thing: war. In the Imperial War Chamber, he addressed his remaining generals. "This humiliation cannot stand," he growled. "Earth must be destroyed, no matter the cost." One general stepped forward nervously. "Your Majesty, our sensors show that the planet now emits unknown energy fields. Our ships cannot approach it without being affected. It is unstable." Vrax's eyes glowed with rage. Then we will find someone who can destroy it. He raised a clawed hand, pointing toward the stars. Contact the Krail Syndicate. If the Zorith cannot win this war, we will hire the monsters who can. Back on Earth, the Human Council gathered in the underground base. Massive screens showed global maps, energy flows, and satellite feeds. The room was silent as Hayes entered. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began, "the Zorith are not finished. They'll be back, and next time they won't come alone." The woman in gray spoke. "Sir, if Helios is unstable, we can't fire it again. The planet's magnetic field is already shifting. If we use it once more, we might destroy ourselves." Hayes nodded slowly. "I know. That's why we need to prepare another option." He tapped a command on the console. A new project file appeared on the main screen. Its name, Project Eclipse. The engineers in the room gasped. One whispered, "You can't mean that experiment. It was banned for a reason." Hayes looked around the table, his eyes steady. "It's the only weapon powerful enough to fight what's coming. Eclipse isn't about destruction, it's about control. If Helios was the sun," he paused, "then Eclipse is the shadow." While the humans prepared, strange things began happening around the planet. Satellites recorded pulses from deep space, short, rhythmic signals. They weren't random. They were coordinates. In the darkness between stars, a fleet unlike any other began to move. The Krail Syndicate, mercenaries, scavengers, and bioengineers, answered the Zoritha's call. Their ships were alive, made of flesh and steel, pulsing with organic light. They were hunters of worlds. The Zorith Emperor met with their leader through a holographic link. The figure that appeared was tall, wrapped in living metal. Its voice was calm but sharp. "You want Earth destroyed. We can do that, for a price." "Name it," Vraxis said. The Krail leader smiled. "We want what they're hiding. The power that erased your fleets. The weapon called Helios." Vraxis hesitated. Then he nodded. "Take it. But bring me their world in ashes." As the alien fleets prepared, Earth's defenses strengthened. Massive satellites were repaired, and human warships regrouped. Every nation, every colony, united under one banner, the Terran Defense Network. In orbit, Captain Reyna stood on the bridge of the Olympus, watching the construction of new platforms. "If Eclipse fails," she murmured, "there won't be a second chance." Down below, Hayes activated the first phase of the project. Inside an underground vault, a black sphere hovered above the ground, absorbing light itself. Engineers watched nervously as it pulsed slowly, like a beating heart. "Project Eclipse," Hayes said quietly. "Let's hope humanity never has to see it in action." Outside, Earth glowed with new life, shields shimmering faintly, energy streams swirling through the atmosphere. It was no longer just a planet. It was alive, awake, and watching the stars. And far beyond, in the cold dark, the next invasion fleet moved silently toward it. Ships made of living tissue, carrying a hunger that even the Zorith feared. They didn't come to conquer. They came to feed. The stars began to dim. Far beyond the edge of the solar system, something massive was moving toward Earth. A fleet so large it blotted out starlight, living ships with glowing veins, pulsing like hearts. They moved in silence, feeding on radiation, devouring light itself. The Krail Syndicate had arrived. Their leader, a creature called Vorith, stood at the center of his flagship. Its bridge wasn't made of metal but of living tissue, pulsating and whispering with faint voices. "Target locked," one of his creatures said. "The human world lies ahead." Vorith smiled, a grin of teeth made from bone and glass. "Begin descent. Let's see what makes this little world so special." As the biofleet approached the solar system, every planet they passed grew darker. They absorbed energy, leaving frozen husks behind. The outer colonies went silent one by one. On Earth, alarms screamed. Inside the Pacific Command Base, Director Hayes stood before the glowing map of the solar system. Red signals spread like infection across the display. "They're already inside Jupiter's orbit," the woman in gray reported. "Our satellites can't scan them properly. Their ships eat the light." Hayes frowned. "The Krail. I was hoping the Zorith were too proud to call them." "Sir," she said quietly, "these things don't fight for honor. They fight to consume." Hayes turned to the communications officer. "Patch me through to Olympus." Moments later, Captain Reyna Solis appeared on the main screen. Her face was calm but her voice was tense. "We've detected them too. They're not machines, sir. They're alive." "I know," Hayes replied. "Get your fleet ready. This isn't like the Zorith. Conventional weapons won't stop them." Reyna nodded grimly. "Then we'll have to be unconventional." In orbit, the TSS Olympus led the Terran Defense Fleet, hundreds of human warships, drones, and orbital platforms. The soldiers aboard the ships prepared silently, their faces pale under the red lights. Everyone knew this battle would decide if Earth survived another day. Then, the stars vanished. The Krail fleet entered the inner system, thousands of living ships, moving like a tide. Some looked like massive serpents wrapped in metal, others like giant hearts covered in armor. Their movements were organic, unpredictable. Reyna's eyes widened. "They're not scanning us. They're smelling us." Hayes' voice came through the comms. "They consume energy. Every signal we send attracts them. Go dark. All systems silent." The human fleet powered down. For a brief moment, everything was still. The black ocean of alien ships passed by, scanning, searching. But one small pulse, one flicker of human radar, gave them away. The monsters turned. "Contact!" shouted Reyna's first officer. "They've found us." The human fleet came alive. Plasma fire and kinetic rounds filled the void. Explosions tore through the darkness, but the Krail didn't die like normal enemies. When one ship was hit, it split into two smaller ones, both still alive. "They're multiplying," an officer cried. Reyna gritted her teeth. "Focus on their cores. Aim for the glowing veins." The battle became chaos. The humans fought bravely, destroying dozens of bioships, but for every one they killed, 10 more came. The creatures latched onto human ships, eating through armor, draining energy. On Earth, Hayes watched the data feeds collapse. "We're losing too many ships," the woman said. "Olympus can't hold for long." Hayes stared at the glowing black sphere behind the glass, the Eclipse project. It pulsed faster now, reacting to the chaos above. He whispered, "Maybe it's time." She turned sharply. "Sir, we can't activate it. We don't know what it will do." Hayes didn't look away from the screen. "Neither did we when we fired Helios. But we survived." He placed his hand on the console. "Begin Eclipse sequence." In orbit, as Reyna's ship shook from impact, a message came through. "Captain Solis, this is Hayes. Fall back to low orbit. Project Eclipse is going live." Reyna's eyes widened. "Sir, that weapon isn't tested." "I know," Hayes said quietly. "But if we don't use it, there won't be anyone left to test it." The fleet pulled back toward Earth, dragging what remained of the defense grid with them. The Krail followed, drawn by the planet's energy. The sky filled with their shadows, blotting out the sun. Then the Earth changed. From every pole and ocean, lines of black light began to rise into the air. The magnetic field twisted, forming a massive dark sphere around the planet. It wasn't energy, it was absence. It absorbed light, sound, and matter. The Krail stopped, confused. Their ships began to twitch, unable to feed. Hayes' voice echoed across the command bridge. "Project Eclipse. Phase 1. The black field expanded, swallowing the first wave of alien ships. They screamed, real screams, like living things in pain, as their bodies crumbled into dust. The rest tried to flee, but the field pulled them back, devouring everything in its path. Inside the Olympus, Reyna watched in shock. It's not just killing them, she whispered. It's eating them. The black sphere grew larger, darker, hungrier. Even the light from the sun dimmed. Sir, shouted the woman in gray. Eclipse is unstable. It's feeding on everything. Hayes clenched his fists. Cut the power. I can't, she screamed. It's no longer connected to us. It's alive. For a brief moment, the entire solar system went dark. The stars vanished, the comms died, and every ship, human or alien, fell silent. Then, slowly, the light returned. The Krail were gone. Completely. But so was half of Earth's orbit. Defense platforms, satellites, even debris, all erased. On the surface, storms raged across the skies. Lightning danced in strange patterns. The planet trembled as if breathing. Hayes stood in silence, staring at the readings. What have we done? He whispered. The woman in gray turned to him. Sir, Eclipse isn't shutting down. Hayes looked up slowly. Then we didn't save Earth. He paused. We woke it up. The world had gone silent. After Project Eclipse was activated, the skies above Earth were covered in strange black clouds. The air shimmered with static. Every radio, every sensor, every satellite had stopped working. Humanity stood in the dark, waiting for something to happen. On the bridge of the TSS Olympus, Captain Reyna Solis stared through the viewport. The once blue planet below now glowed faintly with streaks of black lightning crawling across the clouds. The Krail fleet was gone, completely erased. But the price of victory was terrifying. Her first officer spoke softly. Ma'am, Earth's magnetic field is changing again. The energy is alive. Reyna whispered. Alive? What do you mean? Readings are showing patterns, like brain waves, he said, voice shaking. Something is thinking down there. The comms suddenly crackled. Director Hayes' voice came through, faint and distorted. Captain Solis, are you reading me? Reyna replied quickly. Yes, sir. What happened to the Krail? Are we safe? There was a long pause. Then Hayes said quietly, they're gone. But the eclipse isn't stopping. It's feeding on what's left of the system. We've lost Mars' orbit. Even the moon's surface is beginning to erode. Reyna's heart sank. You mean, it's consuming everything? Yes, Hayes said. We've created something that doesn't distinguish friend from enemy. It just devours energy. The ship shuddered as a wave of black light passed through. The crew could feel it in their bones, a cold vibration that made their hearts ache. Then, something strange happened. The light pulsed again, slowly this time, like a heartbeat. And through the static, a voice whispered, Why do you fear? Everyone froze. You called me. You woke me. I was sleeping in your world's heart. Reyna looked at her crew. Did you hear that? The voice grew louder. You burned the sky. You tore the sea. You reached beyond the stars. And now you ask me to save you from what you created. Hayes was still listening from command base, pale and shaking. It's not the system malfunctioning, he said. It's speaking. Reyna frowned. Who are you? I am Earth. The voice filled every channel, every frequency. It was deep and soft, ancient and sad. For eons I watched you grow. You fought, you killed, you built, you reached. You became what I feared, and what I loved. Now, they came to take you. So I protected you. Reyna whispered. You destroyed them. I consumed them, the voice said. They were hunger. I became greater hunger. Hayes stepped closer to the console. If you keep feeding, there won't be anything left. You'll kill us too. If I stop, the Earth replied, they will return. Others will come. The stars are filled with eyes that watched you. Reyna clenched her fists. So what do you want from us? The voice softened. I want you to remember. Lightning spread across the planet's surface. Massive cracks formed in the crust, glowing with energy. Then, the black clouds began to clear. The light returned, but it was strange, golden, and alive. "I will sleep again," it said. "But not here. I will protect you, from within the stars." Before anyone could respond, the ground beneath the oceans opened. A blinding light rose from the Earth's core, shooting into the sky. Every ship, every satellite, every camera was filled with pure white energy. Then, silence. When the light faded, the black field was gone. The planet was quiet again. Earth floated peacefully, blue and bright, as if nothing had happened. Reyna blinked, looking around. Status. Her officer checked the readings. Energy levels normal. Eclipse is gone. All systems stable. Hayes' voice came through, weak but relieved. "It shut down. We're still here." Reyna exhaled. "What about the Krail remnants?" He smiled faintly. "There are none. Not even dust." For a moment, everyone was silent, just staring at the planet. Then, one of the young crewmen whispered, "Do you think Earth will speak again?" Reyna looked out at the stars. "Maybe. If we give it a reason." Weeks passed. Humanity began to rebuild. The Eclipse project was sealed forever, its files locked under the name Gaia Protocol. No one dared to study it again. But deep underground, beneath the crust of the planet, something glowed faintly, black and golden at once, like a sleeping heart. And in the cold reaches of deep space, far beyond Neptune, a faint pulse of dark light appeared. It moved slowly, drifting between the stars like a guardian, or a warning. Hayes stood in his office, watching the signal on a private screen. He whispered, "Maybe the universe finally learned why you never mess with Earth." The screen went dark. The end.